Hi, I'm Christine Dunning. I am a Master Certified Life Coach and the owner of Two Cats Coaching. Two Cats Coaching, by the way, is named after my two cats, one of whom we're going to talk today because I lost him to kidney disease a few months ago. So, and this is my friend, Stacy Collins. She's a hospice chaplain. We've been friends for 25-ish years. I suppose we could figure out the exact date if we went back and looked, but close enough. And we've been talking about grief. This is episode 15, The Quiet Ones Hurt the Most. And we're going to talk about pet grief. And especially for those of us who are solo, and in the case of this, ADHD, but single people, very often our pets are surrogate children, our fur babies. And that death hits hard when this is your sole animal. Pet grief is real grief, and I think that's something to remember. A lot of people, I think, do recognize that now. I don't think that's as an unusual concept as it even may have been, 20 years ago or so. Welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Be here on our third episode.
Our third episode together here. So, for especially a lot of single people, our pets are our children. I know mine have been, and we are both childless, and so, our pets are our kids. They're our emotional support, even if they aren't officially emotional support. And people with ADHD, we rely on our pets for structure. I know one of the biggest challenges in losing Remington is that it's changed my morning routine because he was my morning routine. And we'll talk more about that in just a second here. So from your chaplaincy perspective, is pet loss different from losing a loved human, let's say that?
There may be some differences, but I think it's interesting to just note the similarities, that someone can die gradually, or it may be a sudden death, and same with our little creatures, and they may be going into kind of a slow decline, and even be on. We recognize that it's sort of a hospice because we're given. We can tell maybe this isn't going to be. They're not, I don't think we have a year here. It may be less. So, and, the emotional attachment can be as strong. And sometimes people would even say stronger because this little being can be by your side and they're so present to us. And sometimes they're sleeping in our bed and they're reliant on us for meals. And
their love is more unconditional than sometimes human love can be. You can do a lot of things wrong and your pet will still love you. And, say that to your husband.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
He would love you anyway.
Yeah. But they don't hold grudges. Really. I haven't. Maybe.
Oh, I don't know. My cat Laura, she's got a long memory for a cat.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Really funny. But she is also, she can also be very forgiving.
Yes.
But, I wanted to talk. I'm the one of the two of us right now who has dealt with pet loss most recently. Remy was and I'll throw a picture of him up on the screen. So Remy was my sole cat, of all the cats I've owned. And I've had a few dogs too, but mostly cats. And of all the cats I've owned, Remy has been my big one. And he passed in June of kidney disease. So we knew this was coming, but it was quite the challenge. And I'll say I started crying before it happened, because I knew it was coming. I mean, he was losing weight, he was failing. He was still very loving, he was still very attentive. And until I really saw some pretty drastic changes, and then I took him in and I had him put down, because I do think that's when we can the kinder thing to do.
So you had some of that anticipatory grief going on.
And I will say, I felt very comforted by the way my vet handled the situation. They have, and I'm sure they are probably not the only one. They have a separate room that where they take somebody who, when they're going to be putting an animal down. It even has a separate exit, so you don't have to walk through the lobby again. After you are done, and it's got a couch in it, a big plastic covered couch, but it's still a couch, so that you can sit with your animal next to you and do all of that and just take their time. And so that was really comforting. And then, to pay for it and all that, they just brought somebody into the room and we handled it in there. And we talked about what we wanted to do. And I wanted to show. I had Remington cremated. And I did go ahead and take the time. So his ashes are here. And I also got they gave me his paw print as well. And so I have these sitting on my bookshelf in my living room. So just as a reminder, and I know one of the things that I plan on doing and just haven't done it yet, because grief takes time and it's not a rush. I do want to have a drawing made of him. I have one of my former cats, and I really love having that. That's just something a friend of mine did for me years ago. But there are people on Etsy, for example, who you send them a few photographs and then they do a rendering of your animal. And so that's something I am planning to do. I just haven't. I've been starting a podcast, so right at the same time. So I just haven't gotten there yet, but it's on my list of things to do. But yeah, it's been challenging. And then Laura and I, so I still have one cat, and so Laura and I forging a life that's different. Her wants and needs when she's the only cat have been different from having Remy here. And again, like my whole morning is upended. She wants to do things her way. She's not cuddly in the same way. She's affectionate, but she's not somebody who comes and crawls up on me and wants to be loved on. And I miss that a lot.
Oh yeah. And then just the dynamics of the three of you, and then now the two of you, and even her recognition. It's hard to know what little creatures think and what they're going through, but they, sometimes I've heard that, especially dogs, I think, but I'm sure cats too, that they can be whining and wandering and looking around, and that's just somehow that's heartbreaking to me too, that they're also letting go.
Yeah, of course, part of my issue is she meows at me and I don't know what she wants. Which Remy was really clear. Remy and I had really good communication. And, it's like, is she hungry? Does she want to go outside? Does she want me to pet her? Does she need to be brushed? Is she saying the litter box is dirty? I don't know. So it's a new challenge as I just listen to her voice. She used to speak for Remy a lot. She would yell, and I would put down the food, and he would eat. So unless she was really hungry first, in which case he always let her eat first.
So that sweet relationship they had, and funny relationship.
But they weren't fighting. Yes. But,
yeah.
And then one of the things we've talked about, because you also have your heart animal.
Yes, Kona is my little. He's a rescue dog that's just precious to me, and I got him when I was going through a divorce, and he's just been there. If I would tear up and cry, he'd be right there, almost practically licking my tears. He'd be in my face, go, "What's wrong?" Yeah. And so I have Kona, and Rosie is our other little dog. But Kona, it's almost been a year that he was diagnosed with congestive heart failure, and he
had back problems too.
He
you
did.
Almost lost him to that.
Yes, he had a slipped disc and had a major surgery, and it was they didn't know that he would even walk again. But he came through that with, went through recovery and was quite the trooper. But now this, the the vet had let us know that, a lot of times it's 1 to 3 years. So we were given even this time. So, and he's always kind of, things are, you can't nail that down really so much, but it's just, there's an awareness, and definitely that anticipatory grief where you anticipate that we don't have maybe 5 more years. And he's, I think he's 11 years old, and dogs, sometimes, maybe they have 15 or 16 years, and maybe he'll make it, maybe he won't. But there's these moments where I get a little teary now and look at him, and just, I don't take him for granted. That sweet, his sweet looks at me, and I just, so this is the little clue. It's almost, it is a little bit like a little bit of a, maybe one stage less than a hospice moment, where you get that little clue that this is not going to be maybe long. So just appreciate every little moment with this little creature.
That's so true. So I think another way that pets come in when we're talking about grief is that people will often get a pet as something to give them an outlet for their grief. So say whether it's that you've lost a pet or that you've lost a human loved one, and so you get a pet to help deal with that, which can be wonderful, but I'm wondering what is there something that's more healthy than others, or I suppose it probably is really just all up to the person, isn't it?
I think so. And I think, I think I wasn't looking for a dog when I was going through my divorce, but was at a place where they had some rescue animals, and Kona I looked at that dog and just something about us connected. And so I think it's that healthy part of us that knows we want to connect with life, even when part of our life is changing or we're letting go of something. So I think in a way, I wonder too, if it's like animals. I can't remember exactly what Eckhart Tolle, the wise teacher that talks a lot about being present, but he talks about animals being like guardians of being, like they're really there to show us and teach us presence. You watch your little animal on a walk, like my little dog sniffing at little things, and I think when I just want to get that walk over with, I just need to take some time, and he teaches me that. So I think they are teachers. They fill in some gaps. They just can really help us to live in a more beautiful way.
Yes. It's a... Yes. I don't have an here's a good way to approach this. So let's say that you are somebody who is dealing with grief, and you are thinking about getting an animal. Are there, especially for those of us with ADHD, since we do tend towards impulsivity, are there ways to know that this is really a good time to do this, or should we wait?
Sometimes I've heard people say they weren't sure, and so they fostered. Like they would foster a little dog or a cat and then see if it's really, that may not be the eventual little person, little being that they have, but or maybe taking the time to go, is this, imagining the steps of, I'm going to have to feed this person, possibly train them. Do I have that energy right now? So I think it's good to ask yourself those questions. And if you can say, yes, I'm willing, because the trade-off is worth it, then, maybe moving forward.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I think sometimes it's easy to jump in and say, all right, I'm just going to fill this void with something else. It's sort of like filling the void with ice cream.
Yes.
It may feel good in the moment, but are you going to like it when the ice cream doesn't like you 24 hours later?
Yes. Or you're having to potty train.
Or maybe that's just me. And I think one of the things too is, we get pets knowing that in general we will be outliving them. You know, they do have a shorter lifespan for us. So are there ways to help prepare for that inevitability, do you think?
I think just, again, the awareness of that, naming it, that, and, you know, even there are some people, especially when I'm working with folks in hospice, where they say, I'm not going to get another one because they're going to outlive me.
Right.
So there's even that time too. So knowing, but I think, again, that honesty of, you know, what you're taking on, and that you know, you're probably going to outlive. So that grief is going to come and be, for me, a lot of times I'll say something like, sometimes I'm worrying what if something happens and the dog gets hit or by a car, or all these things. And then I have to just tell myself, well, Kona has been living large up to this point, and what a beautiful thing that has been, and just not live in the fear of that loss. I was thinking too, Christine, that the other thought too is, you know, how people might quickly get another dog or get another cat, or but then there are times where we've had the loss, and the opposite is true, where you just say, that was so hard, and I don't know that I want to put myself through that again. I don't know. So I think a lot of times people need to take that time and figure that out, or maybe their life at this point isn't, they start to realize that it's not right timing.
Right.
So I know my mom is traveling quite a bit, and she loves cats, and they haven't had a cat for a long time, and she's retired and traveling around. And, but at some point she's thinking down the road, when she's more, not confined to home, but spends more time at home, then she'll get a little creature, because she's missing that too.
Yes. Well, and I've made the decision not to replace Remington. You know, Laura is a bit younger than he was, and I expect to have several more years with her. She's also healthier than he was. But I want to have the availability, and as a single person, not having somebody else there necessarily to take care of, I want to have the availability to do bigger and longer travel. And it's hard to do that with a pet. And so I do sort of expect that last stage of my life to be pet free. But I've thought about the fostering thing as a possibility too.
Oh yeah.
Although, you know, good luck with fostering and not falling in love with them. Oh, I think
oh yeah,
really hard.
Well, and I think too that, again, the choice there is what would be more life giving, and the travel for you is speaking to, you know, and that just that not being hindered. And that's part of the gift probably of the solo life too.
That is very much the gift. That's
so
a whole nother episode on that. So. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, sort of rebuilding that daily routine when you've lost a pet. I know for me, so Remington and I, very simple routine. We'd get up in the morning, come upstairs. I would start the coffee first. Usually Laura would be yelling because she yelled and he ate. But then I would feed him immediately afterwards. And then I would sit down with my coffee, and Remington would eat. He'd come downstairs and use the litter box. I mean, this really was like measured out. He'd come back upstairs, and then he would jump up on me, and we would cuddle. And while he's doing that, I am drinking my coffee, and I play the games on my phone in the morning. So he would cuddle with me while I played my games. And sometimes it was a few minutes, and sometimes it was 20 minutes or half an hour or an hour that he wanted to. And then eventually he'd find another spot to be for a while. And now that's different with Laura, because she's not the cuddler he is. And that's been a really interesting change. I still sort of hold to my routines, but now she wants to go outside. And it's been a little chilly in the mornings lately, and I'm like, I don't really want to open the door. And she just yells. And trying to figure out how to now accommodate one cat, and it'll be even more different when there's none. So what are some ways maybe to think about rebuilding routines, or
yes, I think maybe saying, what was it about that, your time playing games and him just kind of snuggling up, or that? What are some other ways? What, you can feel that coziness or whatever it is. Get a new pair of slippers and just, or some little way. I'm going to put on my slippers now because I'm going wherever to play my games, or I think creating some other things that feel that way, and maybe it is calling a friend at that time, and if you're wanting connection with another living being, what part of that is most important, and see if you can find it in other ways and build a new little thing. And you and Laura, it sounds like you're gonna create some of your own little.
We have. It's interesting. It's different.
Yeah.
So I miss the cuddles. I miss him wanting to just, when Laura wants affection, she wants active affection. She wants me to pet her. Remy was just, I've got a million pictures of this, of him just draped over my shoulder. That was, and then, he was just there and I could have my hands free and do things. Laura, my hands are in use because she wants me to touch her. I thought I had that Eckhart Tolle quote. I have one here. Dogs and cats live in a state of acceptance. When they die, they teach us to surrender. You
had talked about that idea of the rainbow bridge too when we were talking about some of this too. Just how that can comfort others, and imagining kind of these dear beings on the other side, and that that we will someday be reunited. I mean, I think that
that's a wonderful thought.
The whether it, I think like with a death and loss that way, where some people think about afterlife or that kind of thing. I think the same with our pets and whatever, and we don't know what that maybe looks like at the other side, but somehow there's some real comfort in that.
Yes. So souls live on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever your faith belief, I think the concept that even if it is just in the memories of the people you left behind, I think that's one way that the souls live on. Yes,
that the connection is never just that. The connection isn't dead.
Right.
And the relationship isn't. That's really.
True.
Yeah. So finding ways to.
Well, I think the concept, we talked briefly in the last episode, and we'll talk more about rituals, but to use the same rituals that you would when you were dealing with a human death to deal with your pet death.
Yes, that beautiful box with Remy's ashes. That if you could see it, it's got a beautiful carving on top, and it's just.
For those of you who are watching on YouTube, it's got a beautiful carving, and then I had his name put on it, which of course looks backwards because welcome to television. So as we wrap this one up, just a reminder that, pet loss is real loss. It's not really that different from human loss, and it deserves as much validation, and you deserve time and love and understanding just like anybody else. Losing a pet disrupts more than just emotions. It disrupts your routines, your stability, and it's okay to take some time to reset those things. And give yourself permission to do that grieving. Take the time. Cancel out a few things if you need to. Take a day off work or more. To show that love to our fur babies.
Yeah, and don't feel any. Some people think, why am I so torn up about this little cat or this bunny rabbit? But it's
not just.
No, it's someone who let you love them. It's a being that let you love them, and
loved you in return.
And that's an eternal connection. So there is no shame there. You grieve, and it takes as long as it takes.
That's true. So next time we're going to dive a little differently. We've talked a lot about death in the last 2 days, and we're going to move away from that and talk about not the death of beings, but the death of dreams. And one of the things Stacy and I have in common is we are both late diagnosed ADHD. Stacy's the one who said, Christine, you probably should go get tested. I was like, oh yeah, I agree. But in that late diagnosis, and in other episodes, other places in life, there are things that we grieve, the loss of the loss of the life you did not have. So we're going to delve into that next time, a little bit of a different episode. And then again, our final episode is going to be about rituals. So remember, if you like this podcast, encourage you to subscribe or hit like and share it with friends. Could really use your help on this. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you next time.